Good morning, everyone. I'm Amy Baghetti, the embedded librarian in your history course. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about historical research and about how to find good sources for your midterm project and any future history class you have too. The first thing I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit about the different sources you're going to encounter when you do historical research. Now, the first one is primary sources. Primary sources are items, are sources that you can go and that have an immediacy to the event, the person, the object, whatever you're researching. It can be things like photographs, for instance. I have Theodore Roosevelt riding a velociraptor right here behind me. If that was a real photo, that would be a super cool primary source because it tells you lots of information about Theodore Roosevelt. Alas, there was no velociraptors in North Dakota at that time, but still, the real version of this photo would definitely be a cool primary source. You can do audio interviews. You can do, depending on the time period, of course. There's a lot of oral history projects around that are really useful, especially, for people who are doing characters like in the early 20th century. There's census data, letters, diaries, journals, autobiographies. Let's see. There's art, architecture, pottery, Egyptian sarcophagi, old clothing even that's been preserved. And just pretty much anything that has immediacy to the event in question. Now, one thing, even newspaper articles can be counted as primary source documents. However, there is a difference, and I want to take a little time to explain that. Newspaper articles, if you go and if you have one from the modern day, like today, about your the topic you're researching, that's not going to be a primary source material because it does not have any immediacy, any closeness to the time period you're researching. For a newspaper to count, it would have to be from that time period. A good example is in another class I was helping with, a student came to me about with a source from, I think it was WJHL, about like local hauntings. And it talked about the haunting of Netherland Inn Road by this guy named Hugh Hamlin. Well, he went and he wanted to use this because it had a lot of information about this topic. But the newspaper was written by a general, just a plain journalist who worked at the WJHL, who wasn't an expert in their field, had no bibliography, no sources. It was just something to tell, people about local history around Halloween. And I told him, I said, look, you can take the information from here and you can use it to help you find information. But if you want to find a newspaper article, it would have to be from the time period. So that student went online, and we do have access to local newspapers. And he found an article from 1923 with the obituary of Hugh Hamlin from where he did actually die in a car crash. And he found newspaper articles from that day or the day after, I guess, about the car crashes that were involved in the haunting. So, he did prove that there was a real historical background for all these hauntings that have happened on Netherland Inn Road. Because that newspaper article was from November, I think, 1923, when it happened, that counts as a primary source. It's the same thing with magazines and stuff like that. Because it has an immediacy to the event, it will work in that case, okay? Now, if you have any questions, please remember you can always contact me. My information is in D2L in your content area under library contact. Now, the next thing I want to do is talk to you about secondary sources. Now, secondary sources are going to be where you get the bulk of much of your information for your research. It's going to be like books and journal articles mostly. Now, books and journal articles are wonderful because they're in-depth, well-researched sources that give you a lot of information on a topic and are written by experts in their field usually. Because of this and their extensive bibliography, and they use primary and other secondary sources to do their work, they are considered good scholarly sources. Now, the last source type I want to talk to you about is tertiary sources. Tertiary sources are going to be your dictionaries, your encyclopedias, and your textbooks. Now, these are usually written by general staff members. They have no bibliography, and they're kind of general knowledge, basically give you a basis to build upon, or just give you a snippet of information. Like if you look a word up in the dictionary or an encyclopedia, it's just a brief overview. It doesn't give you in-depth detail that you need at a college level research. The textbooks, again, yes, they're factual, good information, but they don't go in depth. They don't have a bibliography. And you trust them because your teachers and other educators have looked through these and decided that they're well done and good for you to use. But again, they're not targeted towards your research. So just don't use tertiary sources. If you do go and see something you think is really good and it comes under those categories, feel free to contact me and I can go and I can help you decide whether or not I can help you evaluate, decide whether or not scholarly or not. There's always exceptions to every rule. So again, why not? All right, now the next thing I'm going to talk to you a little bit is about pre-research. Now, this is when you're still kind of in that phase where you're not quite sure, but you think you want to do this for your topic. You think you want to research this topic, in your case, characters, but you don't know a whole lot about it. So you're kind of in this nebulous area. So this is where when I'm doing research, I go to Google and I look up, just type in the name of whatever you're searching for, your character, so on and so forth, and try to find a little bit of information. This is where it's fine to use like news articles, Wikipedia, whatever, because you're just going and you're just getting a little bit of information. This is not formal research, but you're getting an idea about your topic. So you can go in and get a piece of paper, like read through a Wikipedia article and say, okay, so this, and this happened. These are important events. These are important people that have to do with my topic, important dates, that kind of thing. Write all this down, and just write down different things to search for. Because what you're going to do is you don't want to go into the library catalog or the library databases when you're doing your research and just type in some, just one thing. You want to have a lot of different keywords and search terms and phrases to use so you can go and really search in depth for your topic. I'm going to illustrate that a little more later on in this video. But yeah, so this is just basically getting different information about your topic. Another thing that's important is that you look for synonyms. Later on, I'm going to use Irish immigrants. And I'm going to pretend my character's an Irish maid. And so you can look up immigration, immigrants, domestic service, domestic servants. Having all those kind of different words that mean the same thing will allow me to get more hits and more results in the databases and the catalog when I'm doing my research. So that's why you want to go in here and try to get some information. Build up those different words and search terms. That way you can try a multitude of different things when you're doing your research, okay? Now, the next thing I want to do is go into the library's databases and the library catalog and show you a little bit how to use the library resources. Because the first thing you should do as researchers is use library sources. They're already scholarly, most of them are already scholarly. It's got good information, and it's really the best place to start your research. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and share screen. And let's go right here. Okay, come on. There we go. Now, here we are at the library homepage. I'm going to go back to the Northeast State homepage just in case anybody doesn't know. From the Northeast State homepage, if you go to current students and scroll down, it's in alphabetical order and just click on library. Now, when I'm in the library, you can start out in the catalog, but the catalog searches everything, both physical and online materials. I like to start out in the library's databases. So you click here, and then you go to subjects, and you do a subject search for history databases. Okay, there's history. And the reason why I always go straight to the history specific databases is because if you scroll down here, you can see we have 122 databases. And then we have these featured databases like Academic One File, EBSCO ebook collection, and OmniFile Full Text Mega. Now, these are huge collections that, like the library catalog, really contain every subject. And when you're using these, you're going to get a lot of information that might not totally relate to your topic. So I think it's easier if you go in and pick history and then hit search. And you have 23 databases with your best bets in this yellow box. And by going here, you get more targeted results when you're searching for information. Okay. Now, my favorite database for researching history is JSTOR. I'm going to click on this. Now, if you're at home, you might have to go in and use your username and password that you use to log into D2L to get access to these databases. If you have issues, contact the library for more information. But let's go ahead and we're going to do a little bit of research here. Now, you can go right into this just plain old search window and type in Theodore Roosevelt. And because I'm picking him because, you know, I love Theodore Roosevelt. He's very interesting. And you can see we have over 53,000 results, almost 54,000. Now, that's a lot of information. Now, what I usually do is, let's say I've done my pre-research, and I know I want to go and talk about Theodore Roosevelt's time in North Dakota. So knowing that, and that's from my pre-research, I'm going to go ahead and go into the advanced search. Now here you can go and create search strings that'll give you much more targeted results. So first we're going to put the name of the person I'm researching. For you guys, this could be like Irish immigrants or something like that. But I'm just going to use this for example, Theodore Roosevelt. And I'm putting in quotations so the library database will search for Theodore Roosevelt, not Theodore and Roosevelt, because there's so many Roosevelts in history and probably so many Theodores. And then over here where it says and, I'm going to ask it to go and search for North Dakota. Now this will go and limit my results to any articles or whatever else is here, books, so on and so forth, that contain the full phrase Theodore Roosevelt and the full phrase North Dakota. Now, if it will not show things that have one or the other. Now let's go ahead and submit this advanced search. Now you can see we went from almost 54,000 results down to 1,900, which is much better results, but still a little bit larger. So I know I want to talk about, let's say my character is a New Yorker who goes out west, a city boy who goes out west to live in the Wild West and become a rancher. So we're going to want to talk about different things within that lifestyle. So let's go ahead and do cattle. We'll pick this and see how it goes. Now with cattle, I took down and now I have 5,544 results. So that's a lot more manageable. And let's say we want to go and we want to hear about how the winter was, how rough it was out there in North Dakota at that time period. So I'm going to go ahead and do search within as well. Now, search within is basically just going and just adding information to that advanced search string is all it's doing. Sometimes it will return more results. If it's doing that, it's just wonky. I don't know why. You can always just go back into JSTOR and into advanced search if that's not working right. and do Theodore Roosevelt, and then North Dakota, and then add winter. And we're going to put cattle in here. Now, because we still have 500, let's go ahead and try to go and make it a little more specific. So I know that he lived in Medora, North Dakota, the name of the town he lived near. So we're going to do this. Oop, I made it too specific. When that happens, you can go back and take that word off your search string. Actually, I should have. I think, let's see. And it's still saying no results down. So sometimes you just have to build your search string again. And anytime this happens, just keep notes. Roosevelt, North Dakota, horse, battle, and winter. So we're going back in and we've got 408 results. So at this point, you could add more search terms in, but you might not get any results depending on what you're looking for. So let's go through here and, all right, let's pick this journal article, The Hard Winter in the Range Cattle Business. There's a little blurb here that might give you a tiny bit of information about what it's about, but really you need to click on the article. And then you can look in under search matches and see how many times North Dakota and Theodore Roosevelt are mentioned. And here's your article. You can skim through it. You can download it, so on and so forth. One thing you can do too is you can go in and once you've decided you think this is a good article to use, go to your cite button. And at this point, when you find that first source that you think you're going to want to keep, to use for research, go ahead and open up Microsoft Word, Google Docs, whatever you use to write your papers or your annotated bibliography in this case, and go ahead and create your bibliography page. And then see right here where it says Chicago, copy that and paste it right into the page. Now, by doing this, you're going to have two things accomplished. One, you have a working citation that you can double check to make sure that it's correct, but you do have a good working version of the citation. Two, you have this stable link right back into the source. Now, right up here, a lot of people will copy this or bookmark this. And most of the time in the databases, this does not take you, this link will not take you back to the right source. So again, if you click on the citation though and copy that, it usually comes with a link that will go and take you right back to the database page you need to go, just in case you need information from here. Okay. Now let's go back into JSTOR. I did forget to show you one thing really quick, so we're going to sneak back in. Roosevelt. And there's another thing you can do here. You can limit it by academic content, document type. Like you can see there's images and books and audio, so on and so forth. You can limit it by date, subject, and language. And all of these functions are on most of the databases. There's actually more functions as well. One thing I do want to mention, you can see how many different languages JSTOR has articles in. Now, unless you are fluent in a language, I would not use that. Use sources in a language you're not fluent in. The reason being is if you use Google Translate or something like that to translate it, you may be losing some of the nuance that's not easy for a computer to capture. So that's why I recommend, like, you know, I used to actually be a French major, and I can still read a little, maybe get the gist of stuff, but I've lost most of it. So if I were researching, I would not use French. I would just click on English and just use that because I'm not bilingual. If you are, though, awesome. Pick Spanish, German, whatever, and go for it. But otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't use anything in a language you weren't fluent in. All right. So anyway, that gives you an idea about how to use JSTOR for your research. Now I'm going to go and X off of this and then go back into the library's databases. And the cool thing is about databases, once you learn to use one, you kind of can use them all. They all have the same features. They just look a little different or in different places on the website. So the next thing I'm going to do is take you to one of our EBSCO databases. It's our EBSCO ebook collection. Now, the cool thing is I'm the collection development librarian for Northeast States Library. And that means I get to buy the books. And one of the cool things I get to do with this database in particular is I get to go and offer faculty members money every year to buy books to support their classes, because Tabby's classes are so research intensive. She has spent a lot of money in this database, and I would definitely recommend it if you guys looked in here to help you find sources for your research. Okay. Now let's go ahead and let's do a little search in here. Now, the cool thing, unlike JSTOR, if you type in, if you type something into this search field, it's going to give you a drop-down menu with different suggestions on what you could search. Now, let's go ahead and start out with Irish immigrants here and hit search. You can see we have 103 results. Now, you can skim through these and see if you find anything. But like, for instance, right here, Irish immigrants in New York City. Now, you know that one's not the time period you want. So let's go ahead and we're skimming around and we're finding books. Actually, this is the book eventually we're going to look at. You can look through here and click on information, but you might want to go and make this a little bit more targeted. So you can add more words up here into this search string to make it a little bit more targeted for your results. So you can type and let's go and do domestic service and see what comes up. Now you can see by putting in domestic service, we change it from over 100 results to 2. And you can see here, your second result is the Irish Bridget, Irish immigrant women in domestic service in America, 1840 to 1930. Now that pretty much perfectly covers your time period for your characters in this course. Once you've found a book you want, oh, actually, hold on. As you can see here too, you can refine your results by source type, subject, publisher, language. Again, pretty much just like JSTOR, it has the same sort of filters. Now, once you've decided that you want this book or you think it'll be useful for you for your research, click on it. And you can see there's a description right here you can read. Also, one thing I suggest too is look at the subject areas. You might find a subject area in here that will, if you click on it, take you to other books that'll be helpful for your research. Another thing, if you ever see the word juvenile in here, do not use that book. We do have a few books that I've snuck in that are for young adults or like middle schoolers or high schoolers. And because those are written towards younger people with their reading level in mind, you want to go and you want to choose sources that are at a college reading level, an adult reading level. And we don't consider juvenile sources at this level scholarly. So just, yeah, don't use them. But anyway, once you decide you want to explore this book further, go in and pull up the table of contents. And you can see a little bit about the different chapters in the book. But what I think is really useful is the works cited and the index pages. Now, works cited, you'll be able to see the different sources that this book used to create, to the person who wrote it used to create this book. And by skimming through these, you might find something really useful that you could use as well for your research, okay? Now, if you go back into the here as well, you can look at the index. Now, the index is great because you can skim through here and find different topics that might go and help you target where you want to read in this book. Because if you're anything like me, you have, you know, you might have jobs, families, and different other things in your life to juggle. And so you may not have time to read the whole book, but by looking in the index where it's got all these different topics and page numbers that contain them, you might be able to find a lot of information that's useful right at your fingertips versus having to dig and read the whole book basically to get it. Okay. Another thing you can do in EBSCO is use search within. So let's type in maid. you can see the word made is used 62 times in this book. And if you see like a sentence or something you think might be useful, and this is especially useful like if you're looking for information on a specific place or person, but you can click on the pages and it'll take you right there to the page where the word is, okay? Now, once you've decided this is what you do want to go and you do want to, you want to use this, again, same thing with the article from JSTOR. Go into the Cite button and scroll down. And in EBSCO, you have two versions, Chicago 17th edition author date style, and then Chicago 17th edition notes and bibliography. All you have to remember in EBSCO is use the notes and bibliography version and copy and paste this into your already created bibliography. Again, you have that link right back to your source, and you have a good start on your citation. And for this, you will be using the notes and bibliography version of the Chicago style Turabian citation method, okay? So anyway, that's how you use EBSCO. I'm going to go ahead and X off this database. Oh, if you want to get back to your results, just click the back button. And then right here, result list. And that'll take you right back to your results. It's easier than hitting the back button a lot. But we're going to go ahead and show you one more database because I want you to really understand, again, all of the databases, no matter what company makes them, have the same kind of features. So we'll scroll down here and we'll go to the U.S. History Gale database. Now, again, looks a little different. But again, we're going to type in Irish, and we're going to type in immigrants. And you can see it has different, the drop-down menu provides you with some suggestions. We're going to go ahead and click that. And here you see they're divided by magazines, academic journal articles, books, and news, the results. Now, be careful of magazines and news articles. Again, the thing I talked about earlier, where if it's a modern article or a magazine article counts as this too, it does not count as a primary or secondary source because it's not written by an expert in their field and they don't have a bibliography. And they're not an immediate part of the time period that you're researching. So if you find, let's say you're doing a Irish Maid from 1912, and you find a news article from 1912 about like something that happened to an Irish maid, you could go and you could use that. But finding a modern news article about that or magazine article will not count, okay? Now, a lot of times also there's images and other things in here as well that are useful. So feel free to click on this to explore. But we're going to go and just play around with the academic journal articles. Now, I just did Irish immigrants, but if you go over here, here's where the filters are. One thing I would do is under document type, you're going to see all these different types of sources. See this one? There's 160 book reviews in this results. Book reviews are not scholarly sources. They're basically somebody's summary of the book and their opinion about it. Because of that, what I would do is go ahead and click on all these different ones that you think might be useful. I'm skipping the brief article and the editorial, for instance, too, so on and so forth. But you can eliminate and take out those book reviews so you won't even be tempted. Now, if you do see a book review, you read it and you think, oh, wow, that'd be a great book for me to use for my paper. Try to find it in the library catalog or the library databases. If you cannot find it, contact me and I'll try to get you a copy of it. Okay, I might be able to buy an online copy for you, get a physical copy, or interlibrary loan a copy from another library in the United States. So again, definitely double check this, okay? And definitely contact me if you find something that you want, and I'll try to get it for you, okay? Let's hit apply. Now that took our results down quite a bit. You can also limit it by publication date, subjects, so on and so forth. What we're going to do is use search within again, just like in JSTOR. And let's go ahead and put, let's do housekeeper, and see what shows up. So you can see now we have 10 articles about Irish housekeepers, Irish immigrant housekeepers. And we can skim through these easily. And if this doesn't yield the results we want, we can try like maybe something different. Like you can go down here and take, you can take off your limiter for that and get back to the results. And you can try something else like maid, for instance. And here's 13 articles that mention Irish immigrant maids and things like that, if that's your character. So let's go ahead though and take a look in the articles themselves. Now, you can see here you have the title. Sometimes they have an abstract. But once you decide you want to use this article, again, just go up to the Cite button and click on Chicago style, copy and paste this into your bibliography. Same thing, you have the link back to the source and you have the information, a good start on the information you might need for your bibliographic citation. Okay. Okay. Now that pretty much covers the library databases. Now I'm going to go ahead and X off this, and then I'm going to take you back into the library homepage. Okay. Now the next thing I want to show you is our library catalog, and I'm just going to go over this quickly. Just like the databases, you can do a general search. I'm going to do Theodore Roosevelt again. Okay. Now, Theodore Roosevelt, you're going to see we're going to get 6,000 some results. It's got physical and online materials. Now, the cool thing you can do here is limit this by either if it's available online or journal articles, so on and so forth. Help by library means physical items in the library. Now, I know some of you guys come on campus and some of you guys go to the other campuses, and some of you are totally online. For those of you who maybe visit the Kingsport campus, but not the Bloomfield campus, if you go and see a book you want and to use for your research or explore more, you can click on this title. Let's do this one. And see where it says get it right here, which this record does actually, you can skim through and usually has some more information, maybe a description on here. But if you want to read this book, you can go to get it, log into the library's your library account, and request this book to be sent to the Elizabethton, Kingsport, or Gray campuses, if that's easier for you to pick that up. Another thing you can do, if you find a book you want, if you look at this citation here, and you click on Chicago style notes bibliography, and you can see right here you have your citation created for you. Now, again, you do have to double check this against the citations on the website I'm going to show you for mistakes, but it's a really good start. So definitely recommend doing this to make things easier. All right. And again, for the results, if you get a ton of them, you can also limit it by resource type. You can limit it by subjects, creation date, location, which again, I wouldn't worry about that part. And language, just like the databases I showed you before, okay? So let's go ahead and go back to the libraries page. Now, if you do forget all this, one thing you can remember is we do have a history research guide, and I have a link to that in your D2L content page under library resources. So click on that, and then if you go to research guides, you can scroll down to the plain history guide. And you can see we have different tabs with different information, okay? So in the library, it just talks about the physical, where the physical history books are, basically, okay? And gives you bookshelf ranges where you can find different information. Library Online is really cool because let's say you forget how to go to the history databases. Right here, or even the databases at all, right here is search for ebooks and the American history databases, and that can be really useful for you to use for your work, okay? Now, the last one I think is really useful is internet resources. These are a bunch of links that different librarians have looked at and decided are scholarly and okay for you to use for your research. Now, if something happens and you get stuck and you've been looking for the library databases, you looked at the library catalog, you can't find the information you need, or you can't find enough sources, because you will have to have 15 for this midterm project for your annotated bibliography, then you can go and you can go in here and maybe start looking on some of these websites to find maybe primary or secondary sources that can help you with your research. So that's very useful. Now, also, there's links to tutorial pages and more information that might be helpful here as well. Okay. So let's go back to the library homepage and let's go to another resource. Now, anytime you can't find a book, or if you go online, you find an article that you think would be useful, but the website wants you to pay money to get access to it, do not do that. You can do one of two things. You can email me, or you can go under library services and click on interlibrary loan. Now, our interlibrary loan allows you to borrow materials from other libraries across the United States and the world. You can request a book or an article. Articles usually take around a week. A book usually takes a couple of weeks to do. So make sure to give yourself ample time when doing research to use this resource. When you really get into in-depth history researching, this is going to be a very valuable tool for you to use. Okay. Now, let's see where we're at. Okay. Now, I'm going to go back to the homepage. And another thing you should look at is the quick links. If you click on citation guides here, you can find there is a link to a Turabian guide here, but there's actually another guide I'm going to show you in a few minutes that I like better. And then you have like library hours, staff directories, so on and so forth. And so there's some useful links here for you. Also, if something happens and you can't get a hold of me and you need immediate help with research, there are other librarians on staff who can really help you. They're wonderful, good people. And you can click on here, get the Get Help button, and you can submit a question, call, text, email, chat, and schedule an appointment. And it can be really useful for you as a student to take advantage of this resource, the librarians as a resource, not just for this class, but for all your classes. So I highly recommend this if you contact the library for help with research. Okay. But, try me first though. All my information's in the content folder, but definitely, like say it's a Saturday, because I don't check my email on the weekends. If it's a Saturday and you have a question, call here and you can get some help. Okay. All right. Now let's go back to the home page. All right. I think I've covered everything on the library page. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you about is, how to evaluate sources when you start to research online. Because, Google's awesome. Oh, wait, oops, I hit the wrong button. Let's see. Okay. Google's awesome. We all know that, right? I mean, you can go in, you can search for something and get a million results. But the biggest problem is when you're using Google and online search engines, you're going to get good results and you're going to get bad results, and you're going to get some results that aren't bad, but just not scholarly. And it's really difficult starting out as a researcher to understand the difference between those types of sources or types of results. So what I like to do is go and use the CRAP test. And yes, it's a silly acronym, but it does stick in your head. And I've loaded this on a link to this on your D2L page under the library resources module. So if you go in, first thing you want to do, and for historians, like the currency is not always something that's totally relevant. It's perfectly fine to use old sources. Currency more comes in when you're doing nursing and stuff like that. Okay. But currency is part of it. Relevance. Now, when you use sources, you want to use something that gives you really good information for your topic. I have students come in every once in a while and they're like, hey, my paper's due in 2 hours. I was supposed to have 5 sources. I only have 3. I just need you to help me find anything that just mentions this so I can just throw it in there to meet the source requirements. And that's not what you want to do. You want to find good, meaty, chock full of information sources that really relate to your topic. Okay. Another thing under the relevance is who is the audience. And this goes back to when I was talking to you about using sources not geared towards collegiate level, juvenile sources. If it's geared towards young children or middle schoolers or even high schoolers in some cases, you don't want to use it. You want to use college level sources. Now, the next thing is the authority. When you're looking online, and let's say, like, I used to tell students not to use blogs, but now there's a lot of really great history blogs out there. So let's say you found this blog, or you found two blogs, and one is by Dr. So-and-so, and the entry you found, it has links to other secondary and primary sources. It's got a ton of great information about your topic. So go back into the homepage on that blog, look for an About tab or somewhere where it talks about that person. And let's say they have a copy of their resume and links back to their personal page where they teach at a university or something like that. Or maybe they work at the library or a museum. So some way to prove that they're an expert in their field and they know what they're talking about. By all means, use it. Go for it. I think that's great. Now, if you have another one that has a lot of information, but there's no bibliography, their name is like History Dude 2448, and they have no information about them, don't use that vlog. You want to go and use something where you can tell that the person is still an expert in their field. And the same thing with organizations. Like if you go and you find a primary source image on the Library of Congress website, that's going to be perfectly fine to use because the Library of Congress has a reputation to back up the information. So even if you don't have an author, you can look at it and know if the source is good just simply by looking up a little information about it. Another thing is the accuracy. And that goes back into the authority as well. Where did the information come from? Is it supported by evidence? And then also, is it unbiased and free of emotion? It's okay if someone's enthusiastic about their topic because they're wanting to share and educate. But if someone's trying to persuade you to believe a certain way or think a certain way, or they're trying to sell you something, or persuade you of something, then you might want to be leery of using that source. Because really, sources you use for your research should be objective and impartial. So if there's political, religious, institutional, or personal biases that are obvious on that page, again, just don't use it, because you don't know if the information is objective or not. Okay. Now, if you have any questions about this, feel free to contact me. I'd be more than happy to go over it with you. You can always make an appointment. Now, that being said, there are a lot of places on the internet you can go and look and automatically kind of get good scholarly information. Local historical societies are really good. Online libraries, online archives, museum pages. The Library of Congress is just chock full of awesome stuff and awesome online collections. Oral history archives, that kind of thing. Because you have to remember, people will go and people often interview older people about their experiences when they were young. So you might be able to find someone who, say, was in their 60s or 70s when in the early 1900s, who gave an interview maybe in the 1960s or 70s or 80s, who actually do have firsthand experience with that because of their age. So that's something to consider as well. And those kinds of personal firsthand accounts are really cool to work with as a source. So anyway, that's a few different types of websites, places I look at when I'm going online. Like, for instance, if I'm researching like a particular place, I might type in, so-and-so historical society or something like that, or so-and-so archive, just to kind of go and see what's out there and see if I can't find some good information. Okay. Now, again, if you have any questions about this, feel free to contact me. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is talk to you about your annotated bibliography. Now, if you go into your D2L page, and I'm going to have to stop the share for a minute and go in to another share page right here. And I am screen sharing. Let me make sure this is on here. I want to make sure you guys can see this. Sometimes it can be a little, there we go. All right, so you can see here that this is my D2L page. It lists the modern history classes. And I've uploaded the CRAP test for evaluation. And also I've uploaded to your D2L pages information about your annotated bibliography. So if you go under content and then library resources, you're going to see I have a module right up at the top that talks about the steps to create your annotated bibliography. Now, for some reason, it's popping out here too. I don't know why it's doing that, but suffice to say, you can go in under library resources and then click on formatting your annotated bibliography. If you do that, it'll show some of the, well, last time I did this, I don't know why it's up now. But anyway, click on the first step, step 1. And it's going to take you how to create your title page, okay? And just format it after this. And I'm going to also show you a couple more links in D2L that'll be useful, but this is how to format your title page. And then if you go back here and click on formatting your annotated bibliography, you can see I'm like, this is an example of a formatted Turabian title page. Step 2, formatting your annotated bibliography. Now I have a little bit of information here and a link to the notes and bibliography style citations in this Turabian, a manual for writer's guide. Now this is the guide that Tabby provides, and I also really like as well. So this will take you directly to that type of citation. You can see there's book examples and there's all kinds of different type of source examples here. Okay. Now, when you're in here, what you're going to do is use these shortened notes. If for some reason you do need to use footnotes at this point in text citation, you'd use the short notes and the bibliography entries. Now, for your annotated bibliography, you only have to use the bibliography entries, okay? But this is the type you would use to go and format your citations for your annotated bibliography, okay? So let's go back in. Now, right here, if you click on this link, it's going to pull up an example of a bibliography, okay? And this is what your annotated bibliography should look like. And at this step, when you're creating your citations. And the only thing you have to do is right here where it says bibliography, type annotated before that. And then that's how you get this part started and finished. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is, let's go back here to the module. If you go down here, it's example of a formatted annotated bibliography. Now, if you click on that, I actually made a little annotated bibliography for you guys to see. Now, first we have our title page, super easy. Then you can see here our page numbering starts on the second page, like Turabian style directs. And then you go and you can see on page 2, my annotated bibliography starts. Now, the title, annotated bibliography, the heading is bolded and on the top of the page. And then there's 2 spaces here between that. Then this first one is just an example of how you would do a formatted book for Turabian style. And you can see here we have the format, and then we have your summary. And for your summary, Tabby has asked you to go and cover these different topics in your 50-word or so annotation. You have to evaluate it, assess it, reflect, and connect. Now, this is all the questions you have to answer here. So for me, I went in and I created a couple of sources for my work. Now, for instance, the first one is an autobiography. And I pretended that I was basically like a Star Trek librarian who was, running around the universe helping out people to find good information and good research topics. And the thing is about an annotation, yes, you have to answer all these questions, but you don't have to go and say, here's this, here's the summary, here's how I evaluate it, here's the reflection, here's how I connect it. You can kind of just stick all that information in here and make it sound nice. So for my first book, An Embedded Librarian's Life Story, my annotation is, this autobiography describes the life and adventures of Amy Bighetti, an embedded librarian well known for her travels throughout the universe to spread information literacy. This work provides insight into the daily life of 21st century librarians, including correspondence with other notable librarians and persons of the time, as well as photographs, vlogs, and holograms that illustrate the text. I use Bighetti's work to establish historically accurate ethical codes and life experiences for my character, a space-traveling 21st century librarian fighting bias. So as you can see, I've established, basically, I've summarized what it was about. I evaluated the source by establishing that this is a well-known historical character, or a person, a historical person. And then I talked about why I was using this source and how it connected to my character. Okay. And I did the same thing in the second one, which again, I just have fun with this. Basically, I pretended that Sam from the Lord of the Rings wrote a journal article about gardening after the end of the books from Lord of the Rings. So you can see his article is The Restorative Effects of Lothlorien Soul on Great and Historical Trees After the Scouring of the Shire. And then I wrote, this article provides application techniques, accurate growth data, and insight into the historical impact the magic of the elves had on Middle-earth before departing in 3021. Mayor and Ringbearer Samwise Gamgee, a famous hobbit well known for his honesty and valor, and gardening abilities, provides factual data that helps establish the professional traits and daily tasks of my 31st century pro-Shire independence hobbit gardener character. So I talk about the fact that Samwise Gamgee is both a well-known historical person who was both mayor and ring bearer, which of course in Lord of the Rings is, Sam is famous all around Middle Earth. So I established the reliability and reputation of the author. I summarized what was in the article and how it informed my character. So as you can see, you don't have to just go and answer each question. You can kind of just tie it all in right there. Anyway, so that covers that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is go into D2L. Scroll back up here. We're going to go into content. I just want to show you a little information. Now, right here, you can see library and contact information. If you click on that, it's going to take you to a page where you can see just information about me, when I check my email, how to contact me. One thing I will say, if you need help with research and you want a one-on-one appointment, don't go for the library page to make an appointment with me. Email me. I have very limited time listed as open and available on that page. And I do go and for my D2L students, or really anybody who asks, I mean, I'm not, but anybody who asks, I really try to work around your schedules, and I will do my best to accommodate you for an in-person or a Zoom appointment if you need that one-on-one assistance for your research. Okay. So just remember, contact me. I don't mind at all helping. Okay. And also there's a link here If I'm on desk and have my chat on, you can chat with me. And again, here's that schedule appointment. And I repeat all this in here. You can see why I'm on desk, so on and so forth. Okay. Now again, if you go back under content, you also see library resources. If you click on that, oh, that's what that did. Okay, good. If you click on this, you're going to be able to see first thing that link to how to format your annotated bibliography. Then you're going to see a link to the history research guide I mentioned, interlibrary loans, the library's history databases, a tutorial on JSTOR, the library's tutorial pages, which pretty much have tutorials on anything you might need help with. Then as far as library stuff goes anyway. And then there's the library Turabian guide, which I have to admit, I don't like as much as this one. So shh, don't tell anybody I said that. So click on here and you can see this takes you to the main page for this Turabian guide. It's the same one Tabby recommends, I think, in her content area. And you guys want to, here's the tip sheets for formatting. And that's where I got that title page and bibliography that we talked about, that I have links to, that we talked about a few minutes ago. Also, if you go to the citation quick guide, here is the link you want to use. Go to notes and bibliography. And the easiest thing to remember is bibliography. That's what I want to use, bibliography. So click on that. And that takes you to that same page I had linked up in the annotated bibliography formatting area. Okay. Let's see. And if you go back to library resources, you can scroll down here and here's the CRAP method as well, should you need this. Okay. So now at this point, I'm going to go and I think I about covered everything. One thing I am going to do is in the text area for my link, I'm going to put a link to this assessment of this video. If you watch this video, please take a couple of minutes to put in your class name and what section you're in, and then go and answer these questions. Basically, it will just go and kind of give me an idea of how A, I can improve my teaching skills, and B, how well you learn the information in this course. And so it really do me a big favor if you would go ahead and take this. And again, I'll put this link in under the video in your D2L page in the content area. Okay. Now, at this point, if we've been in the live session, I would have had a question and answer session, but I can't do that. So what I really want to remind you is if you watch this, you forget everything else and you need help, the only thing you need to remember is to contact me. I'm more than happy to help you with your research and your citations, help you figure out if a source is scholarly or not, and just any other assistance I can provide. Because my goal here is to make you a good researcher, or to help you be a good researcher, and to help you get good grades and academic success in your courses. So anyway, yeah, this is it. Just give me a holler, and if you need me. Thanks, guys. Bye.